30 seconds in. 30 seconds in. They got a little preview behind the scenes, Chris, when I was talking about the timer. Oh, yes! 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 And Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everybody. Chris, how's it going? My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by an old fart. The great Chris Schaefer. Chris, how's it going today?
Yeah, those of us who've been in the game for a while, you could track, the age of, AdWords and, the senior people. Yeah, I mean, if you've been in AdWords since the beginning, you're getting close. I'm getting close to my 40s. I just celebrated my 38th birthday, Jason. Worst day ever. One day a year is the worst day of the year for me, and it's always my birthday because it's like it's not a celebration anymore. It's sad. It's sad.
I've got another mindset spin on that. I heard someone yesterday, I forget who it was, but they were saying the age you are today. Oh, it was Mark Cuban. He said the age you are today is the youngest you'll ever be. So once you start enjoying it, Chris, once you start enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it. I just mourn one day a year. I mourn that it's gone and that I can no longer enjoy it as a 37-year-old.
Well, Chris, this isn't a therapy session, so I don't want to hear it.
Oh,
you can go hire someone for that. We're here to talk about positivity, about passive income, about living the lifestyle you want to live.
Oh, no. That's not my podcast. Nope, that's not. Now, next show.
Okay, next show, the Paid Search Podcast. Hey, everybody. Oh, yeah. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by the great Chris Schaefer. As always, today's episode is brought to you by Directive Consulting, the go-to B2B and enterprise search engine marketing agency, SEO, PPC, landing pages, content. If you need it all, if you are looking for B2B leads, if you're an enterprise and you want an agency that gets it, an agency that feels that sense of urgency, an agency that actually gets results, we recommend Directive Consulting. They do it. They get results. They know how to work with B2B. They know how to work with enterprise. They offer free custom proposals at directiveconsulting.com. So we thank them for supporting this show. So, Chris, I guess today we're going to talk about YouTube. But first, let's start it off with an iTunes review.
Can I read it? Can I read it this time?
I honestly don't know if you know how to read. We talked about your lack of education before, but we'll find out today.
My daughter's teaching me. Yeah, so let me try. Evan. Yes. 5 stars. Chris and Jason are the best. I have been binge listening to this podcast. They have golden nuggets for days. Wow. The information is simplified and relatable. I can't get enough of it. Thanks, guys, for making me laugh throughout the day. Thanks, Evan.
No, Evan, thank you. Evan, thank
golden
you.
Golden nuggets. Chris and Jason. He knows what's up. He says Chris and Jason. Mm-hmm. He knows what's up. So, all right. Yeah, today we're going to talk about YouTube. I have some stuff to share. Jason, I know you're experienced in YouTube as well. You have some personal experience. You're diving in your own marketing for this kind of stuff. And I do training and I, try and help people understand some basics. So I want to merge these two worlds of training and experience to see what we can come up with and help people get better YouTube traffic. So, but first, our number one fan, Peg in Chicago, sent in a question, and I told her on Twitter, "Hey, when you ping me on Twitter, I answer, and you get respect. So you want to get my attention, at me, Paid Search Pod, and you'll get my attention." And she pinged me, at me. I'm talking like the kids here. Don't stop me. I'm on a roll. So Peg from Chicago sent in a question. I'm going to summarize it. It was in video format, wonderful video. Basically, I'm going to summarize it. She wants to know about the new ad type, responsive search ads, which we've mentioned before. This is a beta feature. Some of you may have it in your campaign. Some of you may not. This is a feature where you can write 10 I don't know what the max is. Maybe 10 headlines, and then I think 4 descriptions or something like that. And now, Jason's playing some of it now. So, oh, okay, that's distracting. Okay, so
YouTube ad up.
Oh,
I'm Chris. I'm going for the full
YouTube
Chris
ad.
Schaefer training experience today. I'm trying to get my money's worth.
You have your campaign up and ready to go.
I'm about to give you some statistics. I'm about to hit you.
Okay, cool. So her question is, how can advertisers optimize the responsive search ads? And Jason, how much have you put into this? How much time have you put in the responsive search ads? Are you a fan? What do you do? Have you found that you like them, don't like them? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm figuring out. I'm running through all the scenarios in my head right now if I should lie, and I don't think I'm going.
Have you not used them much,
Chris? I don't. What did we just talk about last week? I talked about like how ad copy is great. It's fun. You try to get a good click-through rate and good conversion rate. But man, I have been in the trenches lately on search terms and bids, and for my clients, and I've thrown in responsive ads. Like I've thrown them in, and okay, I've thrown them in, and the click-through rate so far on the accounts that I've seen it's not like been blow out of the water versus my other ads. And by the way, sometimes the other ads have a better click-through rate. And I like control. As you know, when we've talked personally, I like to be in control in all situations during the day and the night. And I mean, call me crazy. Now they're throwing in three ad headlines on the regular ads. You can do a ton with them. I like the fact that you can control what shows up with what ad group, but I am open to responsive. I want to learn more about them. But no, at this point, Chris, I have not done a huge deep dive on it. Am I missing out? Am I shooting myself in the foot?
Well, from what I read and from what I've seen, and also what Peg has shared in her experiences, you're right. You hit it on the nose there, because the click-through rate is not necessarily better. It's the expanded text ads actually perform better, and you set them both, and you have more control on the exact way that they show up. You can use all 3 headlines, and you know what order they show up and what's going to show up in what place, and what isn't going to show up. And that's a big factor. I'm totally with you. I think what I've found is this. I love, let's put aside the click-through rate, because you know as well as I, click-through rate doesn't pass or fail a campaign. It's not really about whether it's going to be successful or not just because the click-through rate's high or low. The thing that I like is I can shotgun, I don't know how many, I mean, depending on how many you put in there, like 30 ads at once, and try all of those. If I put every single headline possibility in every single description line, I haven't done the math, but I mean, it's going to be close to like 30 different ads that it can rotate between. This is a shortcut to a lot of work of having to change all those around, and it automatically rotates them for them. And then you're able to see what the rates are on each one of those. And the question from Peg is, how do you act on those? And the answer is, I think you take the lesson that you learned in that shotgun approach of the responsive search ads and then create your own text ad from there. So I approach the responsive search ads as kind of a great starter platform to just shotgun a ton of ideas and see what I can find. And then if I find a real winner that I like, I'll use a expanded text ad as a dedicated placeholder, and then maybe delete those winning headlines out of the responsive search ads. So that's it. And the other question, Peggy, you had asked was about click-through rate. Or you asked about how do you determine winners? My opinion, Jason, I'm sure you agree, when it comes to ads, there's only one indication on winner versus loser. It's click-through rate. I mean, it's not conversions. That's after the click. It's not impressions or clicks. It's click-through rate. So that's my thoughts there. Anything to add, Jason, or we jump into YouTube?
No, I think that's a great point. I'm always battling with ad testing and ad results. Obviously, I give way more weight to click-through rate, but I still see the conversion rate and the cost per conversion columns in there. And now that we're talking about it, I think I'm just going to drop that from my mind, I think. But the problem is I see like sometimes an ad has not as great a click-through rate, but a great conversion rate. I don't know. I still give that some weight, but maybe I'd be in a better AdWords manager if I remove those conversion columns from my ad space in Google Ads, because I think you're right. Your ad copy, it's got to influence a conversion rate at some point, but with traditional click to the website ads, the conversion does happen after the click. That said, if you're running the call extension, I think you should give some credit to the conversion rate on an ad. But yeah, primarily click through rate. And Chris, that's the thought I had as well about this new responsive ad thing. It's all about it's all about testing stuff, getting a click through rate on a bunch of different headlines. Because like we always say, headline is the biggest determinant of an ad click through rate. So that's how I'm going to use it as well. Just throw a bunch of ideas out there, see what gets a good click through rate. But yeah, that's it for that, Chris. And if anyone has a question, we're going to start doing a question segment on the show regularly on the main show when we don't have news, when the little news boy doesn't want to share what he learned, and like the last freaking 3 weeks in a row. And if you have a question, paidsearchpodcast.com, you can call it in and we'll play your voicemail on the show, or write us a question and we'll answer it here on the main show. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's get into the meat. We've eaten through the skin. We've tore into the meat. Let's start getting that marrow. So Jason, here's the rub that I would like to solve for a lot of people. There's a lot of basics that we talk about in AdWords. I mean, how many times have we said search terms is this, keywords is this? Click-through rate means this, and conversion rate means this. I mean, we get into a lot of the basics, but when I say the words discovery and in-stream, if that doesn't spark two definitions, two different ideas in your head, then I think this podcast is going to be very informative for our listeners. And I'm talking specifically about YouTube. So the idea behind this is, how can you get more value from AdWords in YouTube? If you're unaware, you run YouTube ads through AdWords. So we're not talking about anything outside of AdWords. This is all done in AdWords. But the question is, and Jason, I know this is a complaint that you've had before, like, how do you control the quality? There's so much out there. How can we make sure that we're getting the kind of traffic we want? The same idea comes with search. You don't throw broad keywords into a search campaign and expect to get the right kind of quality. Let's talk about how we can do the equivalent in YouTube. How can we throw precise, targeted ads out there and maybe pay a little bit more per view, but get the quality out of it?
Yeah, Chris, can I just tell you the problem from a user perspective and also managing YouTube ads for clients? We target keywords in search. We see the search terms. If I want to show up on a search divorce lawyer in what other city, guys? Memphis, divorce lawyer in Memphis. I target a keyword, and then I can see in the search terms that I showed up on divorce lawyer in Memphis, and it works, and I know the quality. But with YouTube, I do targeting like in market for SEO and SEM, like for my own business, Chris, or I do targeting the keyword AdWords, right? And then I look at my placements, which is the equivalent of search terms in YouTube. Basically, it's like, okay, where did your video show up? On what videos did it show up? And then I see all this stuff about controversial kid farts in a microphone. And I'm just like,
right,
what is going on? Like, these business owners are not watching kids fart on microphones. Like, right. I want to show up on like AdWords training course 2018, videos like that, and get in front of people who I know are looking at videos about AdWords. But the other perspective, Chris, is when I use YouTube myself and watch videos of kids fart on microphones, I don't do that. When I watch videos of like vlogs, random vlogs I watch, I see people in the quote unquote funnel space, the digital marketing space, the passive income space. And even though I'm not interested in most of their products, I'm still like, okay, you nailed it. Like, yes, I'm a marketer. I'm in the marketing space, and you got your funnel in front of me. You got your passive income idea in front of me. You got your marketing software in front of me. So you won. And so from their perspective, their placement would say like, Andrew Hale's vlog 2018, and some vlog they have no idea what it is because that's one of the vlogs I watch. So when they look at their placements, they may see, okay, this vlog about the Loft channel. They have no idea what that is, but their ads worked because they got in front of me, one of the top marketers in the planet. And so when I'm asking you, Chris, as a person who's way more experienced in search, and I'm not that experienced in YouTube, now that I'm running my own ads, how much stock should I put in placements? Like where they show up, and then when I do show up on so I guess my first question for the overall show, Chris, is how do I show up on those videos that I want to show up on? Those where I look at my placements, it says where your ad showed, and it says all like YouTube's or AdWords tutorial, small business marketing. And I know for sure I'm in front of people who are watching videos that I would want them to watch when they find me. How do I get my placements right? And then second question is, I know because I'm on the other end of it, my placements don't have to be right. They can be random videos that people are watching as long as they're in the market for AdWords management services. Just like I'm a marketer and people target me because they sell marketing products. So if I don't even care about my placements, how do I know that the people seeing my ad are actually in my market? And then even if I don't care about my placements that much, I don't want to see Rihanna. I don't want to see Vivo. I don't want to see a bunch of rap videos. I want to see just random stuff we all watch on YouTube. So help me out here, Chris. Help us out. Do those questions make sense? Is that what you're hearing from people you train?
No, yeah, and that's what I hope I can shed a little light on. And just to be clear, this is no proven theory. I don't have, I'm not going to show you a campaign that I somehow generated a cost per lead of, 45 cents and it's an amazing e-commerce generating machine. I mean, that's not the case. The point of this, Jason, is to try and help you achieve something like that through some theories and ideas that will shed light on that idea. So
okay.
What I think I'd like to jump in first, this isn't the order of our outline, but I think to answer your question, I think the best thing to jump in first is content versus audience, and describe those two things and the way that I would suggest approaching those. So first, let's define content. Content is what the person is watching at that time. Okay, so it's the channel they're watching, it's the video content that they're watching. Okay, when you target by content, and this is language that's in your targeting when you're setting up a YouTube campaign or ad group. When we're targeting content, there's multiple ways that you can do it. You can use keywords, and those are based on themes and ideas. Those are a little looser. I think for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to leave a lot of the other things off the table and just talk about placements. Okay. And I like the idea of placements for content because you can do video specific or you can do channel specific. And for the purpose of this conversation, I think it's going to be important that we're not going in mass. We're not going for quantity. We're going for quality. Okay. So you might spend a minimal amount, just like you talked about, a few weeks ago. How can you spend $100 on branding and get
that's what I'm doing, by the way. Our listener, top listener, Peg, she made me YouTube videos, and because I don't have that capacity, and so I'm like, I want it. She was like, yeah, I made them, and you talked about running $100 a month to build some brand. Do it. I was like, let's do it and talk about it on the show. Now, Chris, when you say this could lead to a small spend because you're targeting exact channels, exact videos, are you talking about low spend for when you go down this placement? Versus we're not talking about audience yet, right? In terms of low spend.
Yeah, right. Okay. So when we talk about placements, this is akin to showing up on one page of a website or one domain. The volume is going to be possibly in the hundreds versus the tens of thousands. Okay, so we're talking, a very small percentage, in the 10%, 1% of what you could be doing if you're doing it on a mass scale. So when I talk about volume, I'm not talking about how much you pay per click or pay per view. We're talking about volume as far as what could be possible with other targeting methods. So that's content. I want to contrast with audience. You said it at the top. You talked about audiences and how, you may see some, kid farts into a microphone video and you're like, that's a crap. Why would I want to show up on that?
Mhm.
Okay, that is why we create ad groups that are exclusively audience and exclusively content focused. And when you mix them very precisely. We'll talk about mixing in a second, but let's define audience first of all. Audience has nothing to do with the content of what they're viewing. Audience is defined in the black box of Google of this is what the person has an interest in over a period of time. Okay. And I said black box because I don't have definite answers. There may be some really smart people out there that have definite answers and have researched this kind of stuff. But for the purpose of this podcast, it really comes down to basically there are people that have an interest over time in electronics, in financing, in autos, in beauty products. These are large generalities and in certain type of industries they might be in market for. And that's who we can target as an audience. These people might be watching cat videos, but in the feed of where these videos have showed up, it's going to be some crap videos. It's going to be music videos. It's going to be things that don't appear to be quality at all. But this one, you're targeting the person, not the content of the video itself.
So you have a affinity and in market. And so in my case, one of the classic in market for SEO and SEM services. So you would advise me to set up an ad group on its own. Just the only targeting in this ad group is in market SEO and SEM. And then are you basically telling me that besides maybe throwing on like an age restriction in there, that's all I can do, and whatever shows up in the placement shows up, and I have to just trust that the people watching those videos are in the market for SEM?
For audience, yeah. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And you have to, and because of that, we don't have a way to really know. We don't know who those people are or why they're designated to be in audience. Bid appropriately. Your content, you can check. You can actively check and say, what kind of page is this? What kind of video is this? Okay, this is worth it. I like this. You can push on that as a placement or using keyword targeting or whatever, contextual targeting. With audience, bid appropriately. Bid a 50% less, 75% less, 90% less of what you do on content because you can't control it. And this is a type of testing, and try different audiences. What I often like to do is I'll have different layers. This is very different from a search campaign. I would advocate, lots of ad groups because every ad group represents a different test. So you have content test 1, content test 2, content test 3, and then you have maybe 4 or 5 different audiences. And each one of those you're testing separately. And the cool thing is you then be able to see right in your ad group view which ones are getting certain results, which ones have different view percentages, or if you're using discovery, which we'll talk about in a second, which ones have been clicked, how many earned views you have on those types of things. So that's the idea. And the way that I look at it is you have to be very careful and you use a layering process. And then once you find some winners, bundle those up. Use a certain audience plus content that work well in separate ad groups and bundle those together and bid higher. So you might do a very low bid at the ad group level for just audience and a low bid just for content. But both of those are winners. Bundle those together, bundle the test 1 and then test 4 for each one of those, bundle those together, put this a higher bid into one ad group. And now you've got great content with great audience. And that's a winner. Now you're, even though you see, kid farts in a microphone, it's been a winner in the past, and you're doubling your targeting preferences.
So the great Chris Schaefer strategy to YouTube is to start off splitting content and audience, and then if you find content that performs well and you find an audience that performs well, the sweet spot, the magic, you may never get there, but the goal maybe one day is to combine the two.
Exactly.
An example could be like content. For me, again, because we're using me as an example, so the content would be like an AdWord or a digital marketing training channel combined with my remarketing list. So people who are on my remarketing list at the time they're watching digital marketing training videos, bam, hit them with an ad about my services.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me
Yeah,
ask you.
that's a
Yeah, go
good
ahead.
point because I think the remarketing aspect is completely separate.
Hmm.
When you have a remarketing audience, that's a good point. That kind of
You just want to hit them in
pre-qualifies
general.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you really need to test that.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a qualified audience in the first place. So
So
good point bringing
Chris,
that up.
let me ask you a question. So you're saying definitely focus on doing the difference in targeting at the ad group level. So let me propose what I would do after getting some training for you. I'm going to have a audience ad group, um, people who are over the age of 34, because I want them to be business owners. Um, so that's one part of the ad group. The second part of the ad group, the same ad group, is in market. So over the age of 34, in market for SEO and SEM services, and they're a homeowner, who they are, because that's a new audience option, who they are, they're a homeowner, and they have a bachelor's degree. Combining those four things in terms of my audience, can you combine those four in one ad group? And to you, as someone who has the same client base as me, doesn't it seem smart to add on the homeowner, add on the bachelor's degree, add on the age range on top of in market for SEO and SEM, and not just do SEO and SEM only?
Yeah. Okay. That's an excellent point because demographics, I think, layers perfectly well whether you're doing audience or content. I think that's a good point because it's easy to make generalities about certain ages and certain types of audience and things like that at the demographic level and eliminate those people completely. There's really no reason to test whether 18 to 24 is going to be a good market for you because in reality, that age group isn't going to own a
Yeah, I've never
business
had an 18 to
typically.
24-year-old client.
Right. So it's not going to be ideal. So no, I totally agree. I think demographics is a whole nother thing. I'm not talking about demographics because I think you can, as a business owner, as a um, advertiser, you can make these decisions pretty easily and say, you know what, I sell a younger age group type of thing. People that are 45 and up don't tend to purchase it. I can block those.
Okay.
So make those decisions. I will say one thing. I've learned something that just blows my mind. I have this one client that sells a novelty item online, and it's something that's expensive. It's very cool. It has to do with movie replica type of stuff, and it's exclusively the kind of thing that nerdy guys would like.
Chris Schaefer.
90% of the traffic is male, and a very small percentage after the unknown factor is female. And what it turns out is, although I get a ton of male traffic, females convert like 4 times as often as males. So be very careful about labeling a gender to be a specific qualifier for your purchase or your quality of traffic, because that has often blown my mind. I'm like, well, this is a thing marketed to a male. I should always show it to a male and no women. That is not the case. And this client kind of just blew my mind when I was testing and trying those things out. So that's one thing I wanted to say about demographics.
Especially this time of year where the women could be buying a gift for their special guy in their life around Christmas. Now, so Chris, you've got me convinced this is the way to go. So you put these, you separate content from audience, at least when you're starting out. I think we've discussed audience. Well, you've got affinity, you've got who they are, you've got in the market for, and you've got demographics. So those are great things to look at. I guess I'm curious about this discovery versus in-stream thing that you're very focused on when it comes to YouTube. But just to wrap up content and placements, do you have any tips? Like for me, like you're in the same business as me. How do I find these channels? How do I find these videos? Do I go to YouTube and pick out videos I want to target and then go back into Google Ads in my YouTube campaign and look for them? Or do I search for them inside the YouTube campaign without going to YouTube and knowing what they are before I start looking? Yeah, any advice about how to find these channels and videos, and any advice about channels versus videos?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Unless some smart listeners out there, smart viewers out there have a better solution, I found the best way is just to use YouTube and try and find quality channels with with the right kind of content, the right kind of stuff you want to show. Because if there's anything that we've learned from YouTube is you never know what kind of stuff someone has on their channel until you check out their videos and kind of
Sure.
look at their content. So I would be very cautious about what you want to advertise on, and I would suggest looking at it firsthand directly in YouTube. I don't think there's going to be a better tool to be able to provide that rather than just searching for, home improvement channels or auto repair channels, things like that. And there is a channel search in YouTube. You don't have to try and find videos and then go look at the channel. There's ways to filter out and find channels that are tagged that certain way. But anyway, that's my suggestion on placements.
You can find a video in YouTube doing your own searches in there that you want to target, and then you go into the campaign and you tell it, hey, when I'm making my placements, find this video, or punch in the name of that video and it finds it if it's an option to advertise.
You copy the URL.
You
copy the URL of the channel or the video and place it in the in the placement targeting.
Two more things about placements. One, just a tip for everybody. You look at your search terms every week, every day. You find new ideas to target from your search terms. You can do the same thing with placements on any of your YouTube ad groups. Look at where your ad showed on all your ad groups, and then that can generate specific placement ideas when you're seeing what you're showing up on with all your ad groups. And Chris, question about placements. When I do have my placements, say I have 5 videos and I want to show up on, be fun to advertise on our channel. That's a little insider dealing right there, putting money in your pocket, Chris. That'd be a funny one. Say I have 5 videos that I found that I want to target. Do I make 5 content ad groups and target 1 video as a placement in each ad group with whatever demo I want on there? Or do I pick an ad group, throw the demo stuff I want on there, and maybe a little who they are on there, and then punch in my 5 placements in that one ad group?
It's a good question. And I think the easiest solution is the easiest solution. Like whatever's going to be less work on you, I think is probably going to be worth it, because we're talking about small scale here. And it's the same reason we don't create SCAGs. It's too much work, and you're not going to get benefits from it. So I would suggest lesser volume of ad groups when it comes to, because you can see placements at an individual level. You can target 5 different channels and see each of those channel statistics in one ad group. So I don't necessarily see a reason unless, and this is the segue into our next part that I teased at the beginning, you're going to get into discovery versus in-stream. Okay. So let's describe the difference. Discovery is when you see those sponsored, recommended ads on Google, on YouTube. Okay. These are the ones that show up at the very top. Okay. They're going to be a recommended, a sponsored ad that's clickable. Okay. In-stream is a video that shows before. It can be a pre-roll, it can be a mid-roll, it can be during the stream, something like that. Okay, so think about the way the content's being delivered here. Discovery, the user has to click on it in order to engage the content. In-stream, you're forced, kind of like a TV ad. You're watching content you want to watch, and you're forced to watch a skippable ad. Okay. When you build these ad groups, you might want to do further dissection based on how do I want to deliver this? So I want people to engage and click on the ad, possibly get less. Well, you're definitely going to get less views, but you get more engagement. People that do click on it certainly are interested. It's almost like a higher qualifier when someone clicks on that discovery ad and decides to look at your content because they see your thumbnail, they see the call to action and the headline and everything like that, versus in-stream, which needs to be a very quick, commercial, prioritized message. It can't have a 10-second intro with your logo and your phone number and stuff, because they can skip it after that. And then you've lost the whole purpose of that whole 10-second, 6-second skippable ad. So the idea is to realize the difference between those. And I would suggest at some point you might want to try different video types for different messaging. So the idea that I like is this: if you have a video that is more informative, more discovery oriented, DIY focused, in something that someone could learn something from. You know, you have a home improvement or an auto shop or something like that, and you're talking about these are all the tools that auto shops typically have, and you kind of go through a quick demo, 2-minute video. Who knows? Maybe it's a 20-minute video. This is a great discovery ad. Whereas in stream, it needs to be a guy standing at the front or something saying, "Hey, this is who we are. We're right down the street. Come check us out when you need your car repaired." Right? This needs to be a quick delivery that happens at the front of the video during that pre-roll, during that in-stream time. So that's that. That I think a lot of people don't realize is the different ways that the video is delivered and how people react and consume that information.
That's a very subtle difference, but that's everything, because now I'm thinking of my own YouTube as a consumer experience, and I just did a search for AdWords, and I clicked on how to advertise for on Google for beginners. The in-stream ad is a Udemy ad about AdWords courses. Makes sense. And then over on the right side, this is on desktop where all like the suggested videos are, which, by the way, as YouTubers have talked about on their own channels, suggested videos, whether it's on desktop or mobile, under the video, you know, that's where I think the bulk of views come from, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So that is a place where you can show up as a discovery and kind of become like the people who get all those views because they show up in the suggested list. So I'm really keying in on that one, Chris. But anyway, I see a start an online business ad over on the right side. So this would also be discoveries when I'm on my mobile app and I'm on the home screen and like I'm scrolling down to videos they're suggesting to me, and then I see one that's an ad. That's discovery. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I want to differentiate between. I'm using suggested and sponsored interchangeably, but that's not necessarily true. You can have suggested ads that are not sponsored, but you can't have
Suggested
sponsored
ads that are not sponsored. What does that mean?
Right. Suggested ads that are not sponsored. So you may have a video that says,
You mean
click here
suggested
to
videos?
watch. I'm sorry. Yeah. Suggested videos that aren't sponsored. So you may see a bunch of sponsored videos.
Yeah, of course.
Or, excuse me, suggested ads. So I just don't want to confuse people about, there is a difference between suggested and sponsored. I feel like
you know what the difference is? The only difference is a little yellow. At this point, yellow. Who knows? Maybe in the future they're going to remove the yellow background and make it white, just like on search. But at this point, the only difference is a little yellow box that says ad. So when I'm on mobile and I look below the video I'm watching and I have those suggested videos, which is again how I and everyone who uses YouTube finds a lot of videos, they have discovery ad videos there, and they have discovery ad videos on the right side on desktop. And to a consumer's mind, they must give those some kind of higher quality when they look at them, like higher credit than they do with the in-stream ads, because in-stream, it's a commercial. We're trained to tune it out. We're trained to just wait the 6 seconds and click skip. But with discovery, our minds know that in that spot on the home tab on mobile where we're scrolling, or under a video on mobile, or on desktop on the right side, our minds know that we like the videos we see there usually, and we find good ideas there. So even if it says ad and we know it, we're going to give it a little more credit. So Chris, I'm really liking this talk about discovery versus in-stream. You've got some more tips here, but I think we'll leave them wanting a little bit. But what I want to know, Chris, discovery versus in-stream, where is that setting? How do you choose that?
Oh yeah. So when you set up an ad group, very easy. It asks you straight away, do you want this ad group set up as discovery, or do you want it set up as in-stream? A lot of people, just click whatever is available, but it has to do with whatever video you're using. Some videos are not appropriate for in-stream or pre-roll or something like that. It has to be a certain length. Like the mandatory non-skippable ads need to be a certain length in order for people to be able to run that as a pre-roll. So that you cannot mix discovery and in-stream. But what you might do is you might set up a content campaign as discovery and then the exact same content campaign as in-stream and compare how they perform. Maybe maybe the in-stream does better rather than discovery. So it's another split test that you can do.
Now, Chris, I am looking at I created a new YouTube ad group in a current campaign. I'm starting to think, is in-stream versus discovery at the campaign level?
No, it's definitely not the campaign level. I may have misspoke. It might be at the ad level when you create the ad, but I know that you cannot mix them. It's definitely going to be probably in the next step when you go a little bit further, is what you're looking for there.
Okay,
but
gotcha. So
last thing,
Chris, what else do you have?
One last thing I want to share. And this is an easy tip. When you have YouTube campaign set up, go to settings, consider turning off the display network. Okay? When you have display network turned on, it is going to show outside of youtube.com. Okay, so you will get embedded videos. You'll get people that, anywhere that a video is playing that Google has the ability to show pre-roll or suggested or anything, it's going to show up there. So in the same way as adding display to a search campaign, it's going to double your spend or more. That's what's going to happen to the display network when you add that to a YouTube campaign. So for the purpose of quality, that's the point of this video, is quality, not quantity. Turn off that display network option, and it should improve the overall quality.
I question, and we can get clarity on this at some point, but I question if video partners on the display network allows you to do discovery ads. Because when I think of video partners on the display network, I think of how we embed our YouTube videos at paidsearchpodcast.com. And then you click play, and it's obviously an in-stream ad. So
right.
That might hurt the quality.
Right. Well, you're talking about one thing at a campaign level and something else at an ad group level. So it's two different. I mean, yeah. If you're running all discovery ads, then it may not be a factor. But I'm also referring to people that are running in stream. But
right. So you don't. So let me ask you a question. If you're running in stream and you're running on YouTube videos on youtube.com, and then you're running on the display network video partners, I think that just means like basically embedded videos. So why do you not like that?
Because the experience that I've had, you can show up anywhere. You can show up on apps. Okay. You can show up, for example, when you get a free-to-play game, it'll force you to watch a video or an ad that, that's the kind of thing it's going to show up on. It's just stuff that you just don't have control over. Sure, it may still be an audience, but I kind of like people that are maybe a bit more engaged, and I want to control it more. And it's like I said at the beginning, it's about quality, not quantity. It may kill the number of views that you get and the amount of views that you can get, but that's what this show is all about. It's about quality. That's what we talk about every day.
So to get in the Chris Schaefer mindset, you're basically, I can hear it in your own head. You're basically saying, okay, the reason I don't want to do video partners on the display network is because I don't know where they're showing up on. There might be some good sites we embed on, but who knows what we're showing up on. And if I want to target YouTube, I'm targeting YouTube, and the inventory is so huge on YouTube itself, then that let's just spend our money there. Is that basically what you're saying? Yeah. What you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Exactly. I like to control it and do it. Just do a test. Run one campaign with it on, one campaign with only the display on and only the YouTube search on, and I think you'll see a pretty big difference between the two.
Okay, well, Chris, this was very outstanding information. I think it really helped a lot of people get a grip on YouTube. It definitely helped me. I want to tease this. I am going to be running this YouTube campaign, spending some money on it. This training you gave us all has helped me. I do have a better grasp of YouTube. And at some point in the upcoming weeks, we can get back on here, Chris, if you're cool with this, and I'll tell you about the results that I got. I'll talk about where my video showed. I'll talk about I'll talk about like the view rate. I'll talk about how many clicks I got from the ads, the analytics data on my website, what those clicks did, if it was just a huge bounce rate or not, and what percent of the video they watched. And I'll give you access to my AdWords account. View only, read only for sure, not letting you touch anything, but read only. But I'll give you access, and you can review it before the show, and we can kind of go through and see like, okay,
that sounds cool.
Yeah, we know what we're targeting now. We're doing a good job knowing about YouTube, knowing what we want to target. I'll take that information we talked about today. I'll go make a great YouTube campaign for myself. We'll let it gather some data. We'll come back in a month, and you can let us know what you think of that data. How do I know if it worked? How do I know what a good view rate is? And all that kind of stuff. So we'll do that. Are you down for that?
Yeah, definitely like it.
Okay. Now, next question is, you and I, we focus on search. We do some remarketing with it. We know how to do remarketing well, but we're primarily search. We're primarily lead generation. I don't do any e-commerce. You do a little bit of it, but we're primarily lead generation on search. What the hell, bro? Where'd all this YouTube knowledge come from? Because I know talking to you over the years, you sure didn't know this much about YouTube a couple of years ago.
No.
So what's up?
No, Jason, as you know, I'm very, very popular on the internets for my training. And so I'm booked up. And when people have a topic that they fill out on there and say, I want to know about how to improve my YouTube campaign, I gotta get in there and make sure I understand it and, read up and be able to, nothing will show you whether you understand something or not when you have to teach it. Mm-hmm. When you have to teach it, you're going to sound like an idiot or you're going to sound like you're smart. So I prefer to sound like I'm smart. So that's what it comes down to. I was forced because the people wanted it. So you guys got a free taste of, kind of what I talk about on training for a few of my clients. All
right, Chris. Well, we appreciate it. And we're going to close out the show by thanking Directive Consulting. Again, we appreciate them sponsoring this show. They're supporting us. You guys support them. DirectiveConsulting.com. They offer free custom proposals, B2B enterprise search engine marketing agency, SEO, PPC, landing pages, content. They do it all. We recommend you guys get a free custom proposal at directiveconsulting.com. A link is under the video on YouTube and in the episode notes on audio on the podcast players. Chris, I'm adding a new segment to the end of our show here. It's called self-promotion. And we are going to get Chris Schaefer better at self-promotion, and we're going to hear him sell, we're going to hear him motivate, and we're going to watch it happen. So first, I want to self-promote for myself. I have another podcast, and Chris, I would invite you to be a co-host on there, but I don't think you're qualified. No offense.
No, I'm not. No.
Chris is a fan. He's a fan. He's a listener. But After Dinner Investing, it's a podcast about investing. After Dinner Investing, look it up on iTunes and Stitcher. Recommend you guys check it out. I know you like podcasts. I know you like me. And come on, you better like money. So all three, afterdinnerinvesting.com or afterdinnerinvestor.com. Now, Chris, I want to hear what you offer. I want to hear how you help people. I want to hear how you change lives. And I want to hear where people can find you and get some of that goodness. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, okay. I tell you what, if you like what you hear on the show, basically you can get a personalized version of the Paid Search Podcast from Chris Schaefer with my paid training. I think what people really like is that I share my screen. We look at your account, I share my screen, and you get to see what I think about your campaign. Some people just say, Chris, spend an hour and show me all the crap I'm doing wrong. Other people say, talk to me about how do I choose keywords? Talk to me about bidding. That's what I do in my training. It's 1 hour. You can book a time. At this point, it's mid-December right now. You're not going to get in touch with me for another month because I'm pretty much booked out until mid-January. But anyway, hit me up there, chrisschaefer.com.
I love it, Chris. You're getting smooth. You're a smooth operator, and I love this. We're going to do it every week, and we're gonna do it. So, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing the show. That's all we ask. Share the show, and we'll be back next Monday with the next episode of the Paid Search Podcast.